James Walker was a wiry, silver-haired black man of 68, his face etched with lines from a lifetime of toil and resilience. For 6 weeks, he'd been a janitor at Horizon Travel, the crown jewel of Los Angeles' tourism industry, a towering edifice of glass and steel that dominated the downtown skyline. The building gleamed with modernity, its lobby a cathedral of marble and cascading water, its upper floors adorned with panoramic windows framing the Hollywood Hills, Santa Monica's beaches, and the distant Pacific. To the employees who darted through its halls, James was a non-entity, an elderly man in a faded blue jumpsuit pushing a creaky cart laden with brooms, mops, and trash bags. His dark skin, weathered hands, and quiet shuffle made him a target for their scorn, a punching bag for their casual cruelty. They had no inkling of his true identity. James Walker was the father of Horizon's CEO, James Carter, recruited under a clandestine pact to unearth the racism rotting the company from within. Carter, a visionary leader, had a plan to purge the bigots and forge a stronger, fairer Horizon, and his father was the linchpin. Within 10 minutes of their latest barrage of racist venom, every perpetrator would face a reckoning fired on the spot. Their careers obliterated, a searing lesson that prejudice had no sanctuary in a company built to unite the world. James Walker's life had been a crucible of endurance. Born in 1957 in Mobile, Alabama, he'd grown up under segregation's iron heel, drinking from colored-only fountains, sitting at the back of buses, dodging the sneers and fists of those who saw his skin as a sin. At 19, he'd fled to Los Angeles, chasing a dream of dignity. He'd labored at every trade dock worker, mechanic, night watchman, marrying a kind woman named Ella, who gave him a son, James Carter, before cancer stole her away when Carter was 5. James raised the boy alone in a cramped Pasadena bungalow, teaching him to read by kerosene lamp, to fight with his mind, to stand tall against a world that often bent to break him. Carter had soared Stanford degree, corporate ascent, and now, at 38, the CEO of Horizon Travel, a $500 million empire booking luxury escapes for the elite and mass tours for the masses. But beneath the gloss, Carter saw cracks, a culture of arrogance and bias threatening to erode what he'd built. The trouble had crept in slowly. Carter first noticed it a year ago when a high-profile client, a Brazilian diplomat, canceled a $1.5 million contract after a sales rep made a snide remark about third-world manners. Online reviews grew prickly. Staff acted superior, felt judged, unwelcoming vibe. Then 6 months back, a Japanese tech firm ditched a $2 million deal, citing cultural insensitivity from Horizon's team. The board convened, their faces grim, demanding action. Carter investigated client emails, employee chats, anonymous surveys, and found a thread: subtle but persistent racism woven into the fabric of his workforce. HR was useless. They golfed with the culprits, buried complaints. Carter needed an outsider, someone he trusted with his life. He turned to his father. It was a cool October night when Carter broached the plan. They sat in James's living room, a modest space with sagging armchairs, a scratched coffee table, and walls lined with faded photos: Ella's smile, Carter's graduation. Over a meal of fried catfish and cornbread, Carter leaned forward, his tie loosened, his voice urgent. "Dad, Horizon's sick. Racism's eating it alive, staff mocking clients, each other. I can't see it from the top. I need you to go in, undercover, as a janitor. Watch them. Tell me who's poisoning us." James paused, a forkful of greens halfway to his mouth, his gray eyes narrowing. "You want me scrubbing toilets to spy for you?" Carter grinned, but his tone was dead serious. "Not spy, observe. You've got the sharpest eyes I know. You taught me to see through people. Help me save this company." James chewed, slowly weighing it. He saw the strain in his son's face, the legacy at stake. "All right," he said at last, a wry smile breaking through. "But if they ask me to shine their shoes, I'm charging extra." Carter laughed, and the pact was sealed. James started the next Monday, hired through a shadowy staffing firm with no link to Carter. His badge read J. Walker, custodial staff, and he arrived at dawn, the city still cloaked in pre-dawn haze. Horizon's headquarters buzzed executives in Armani suits barking into Bluetooth, assistants juggling iPads, sales reps pitching Maldives getaways over speakerphone. James faded into the background, pushing his cart through the lobby where receptionist Sarah Kim scrolled TikTok. barely nodding as he emptied her trash. On the 15th floor, the sales and marketing hub, he vacuumed plush carpets and polished glass partitions, his presence a whisper against the cacophony of ambition. But he wasn't invisible to everyone. Some saw him, and they made sure he felt it. The racism began as pinpricks. On his second day, Tyler Brooks, a 25-year-old sales rep with a man bun and a vape pen, accidentally kicked over a stack of brochures as James passed. "Oops, my bad, Grandpa," Tyler said, smirking, as James knelt to gather them. "Better hustle, don't want to miss your nap." A few desks away, Michelle Grant, a marketing assistant with a fake tan and a Valley Girl lilt, giggled into her latte. "He's like so slow. Maybe he's lost without a map." James said nothing, stacking the papers neatly, but he noted their faces, Tyler's lazy grin, Michelle's mocking eyes. He'd seen this before, decades ago, in Alabama diners and LA factories, the assumption that his skin made him less. The taunts sharpened. One muggy afternoon, James mopped a soda spill near the break room, a sticky puddle left by Greg Larson, a logistics coordinator with a buzz cut and a gym rat swagger. Greg leaned against the counter, smirking. "Hey, old man, you missed a spot. Guess those eyes aren't what they used to be, huh?" He tossed his empty can on the floor, inches from James's mop. "There you go, keep you busy." Michelle, passing by, laughed. "Oh my God, Greg, you're savage." James picked up the can, dropped it in his trash bag, and moved on. Greg's sneer lingered in his mind, a snapshot of entitlement. The worst offenders were higher up. Derek Simmons, a mid-level manager with slicked back hair, a $2,000 suit, and a corner office, thrived on attention. One Friday, as James emptied a trash bin near Derek's desk, the manager leaned back, feet up, voice booming. "Hey, Walker, ever think about running this place? Maybe book us a tour to the moon or at least somewhere with indoor plumbing?" Laughter erupted. Claire Evans, a senior account executive with a platinum bob and a Hermes scarf, joined in. "Oh, Derek, don't." "He'd probably crash it into Compton, only map he's got." Tyler, lounging nearby, chimed in. "Yeah, stick to the broom, Pops. Leave the jets to us." A quiet analyst, Paul Chen, snickered behind his monitor while Michelle and Greg nodded along. James kept his head down, but his chest tightened, not from hurt, but from clarity. This was the rot Carter needed to see. The ugliness peaked over weeks. One morning, James scrubbed a conference room table after a meeting, erasing coffee rings and croissant crumbs. Derek strode in, Claire at his side, both clutching briefcases. "Look at him go," Derek said, loud enough for the hall to hear. "Bet he's dreaming of the plantation days, simpler times, right, Walker?" Claire cackled. "God, Derek, you're awful. But yeah, he's got that vibe straight out of a history book." James's hands stilled on the rag, his jaw clenching. He'd heard slurs in his youth, but this casual, gleeful, in a gleaming office tower cut deeper. He wiped the table clean and walked out, their laughter echoing behind him. Another time, during a busy afternoon, James pushed his cart past the sales floor. Tyler tossed a balled-up Post-it at his back, sniggering. 3 points. Man, you're an easy target, old-timer." Michelle, filing her nails nearby, grinned. "Seriously, Ty, he's like the human trash can. Where'd they even find him?" Greg, hauling a box of files, added, "Probably some charity case got to fill the quota, right?" Paul Chen, usually reserved, muttered, "Yeah, diversity hire gone wrong," earning a round of chuckles. James bent to pick up the paper, his knees creaking, his mind racing. These weren't just jabs. They were a worldview, a belief that his blackness, his age, his role made him subhuman. The most damning moment came on a Wednesday. James was sweeping the lobby, the late sun glinting off the water feature, when Derek and Claire descended from the elevator, trailed by a client, a middle-aged white man in a polo shirt. Derek spotted James and grinned. "Hey, check it out, our resident relic. Bet he's been sweeping since the Civil War," Claire smirked, turning to the client. "Don't mind him, he's the token help. Keeps the place authentic." The client laughed, a sharp barking sound, and said, "Well, at least he knows his place." James's broom froze mid-sweep. He locked eyes with Derek for a split second. Arrogance met defiance before resuming his work. That night, he'd tell Carter everything. In Pasadena, James sat in his armchair, a chipped mug of coffee cooling beside him as Carter paced the threadbare rug. "It's a cesspool," James said, his voice steady but heavy. "Simmons and Evans are the worst, loud, proud, racist to the bone. Brooks, Grant, Larson, Chen, they follow, some louder than others. 6 of Elm, maybe more if you dig deeper. Carter stopped, his fists clenched. They're targeting you because you're black? James nodded. That, and they think I'm dirt. Said I'd fit on a plantation, mocked me to a client today, called me token help. Carter's eyes blazed. A client? Yep. White guy laughed along. Carter ran a hand over his face, exhaling. Jesus, it's worse than I thought. James leaned forward. You sure you want to blow this up, son? Firing them won't change their hearts. Carter met his gaze, resolute. It'll change Horizon. I've got the board's contract full authority to cut anyone undermining us. Give me the green light. James sipped his coffee, then nodded. Tomorrow. They'll push me again. They can't help it. Be ready. Thursday dawned bright and hectic. Horizon buzzed with a major pitch, a $3 million cruise deal. Phones ringing, screens flashing itineraries. James wheeled his cart through the sales floor, the air thick with cologne and ambition. Derek, in a pinstripe suit, spotted him and pounced. Hey, Walker, big weekend plans? Maybe a trip to the White House as the janitor? The room roared. Claire, clutching a tablet, smirked. Oh, please, he'd get lost finding the broom closet thinks it's a throne room. Tyler lobbed a crumpled paper at James's feet. Missed the trash, old man, clean it up. Michelle giggled. He's like so pathetic. While Greg added, yeah, bet he's never even seen a plane. Paul muttered, should have stayed in the back out of sight. James picked up the paper, his hands steady, his heart calm. It was time. 10 minutes later, the elevator chimed. James Carter stormed out, his charcoal suit razor sharp, his face a storm cloud. 4 security guards trailed him, their boots thudding on the carpet, radios crackling. The office fell silent, heads swiveling. Carter's voice was a blade. Conference room, everyone, now. Employees shuffled in, confused, some whispering, some smirking. Derek nudged Claire as they sat at the long oak table, the room's glass walls reflecting LA's sprawl. What's this? Someone tanked the cruise pitch? Claire grinned. Maybe they're axing the cleaning crew finally. Their smirks died when James Walker entered. No cart, no uniform, just a gray jacket and a steely gaze. He stood beside Carter. Carter's tone was ice cold. Horizon travel is the best, because we're supposed to serve everyone, every race, every culture. But some of you think it's okay to mock, degrade, and dehumanize based on skin color. He pointed to James. This man isn't just a janitor. He's my father. I brought him here to see who you really are when you think no one's watching. Gasps ricocheted. Derek's jaw dropped. Claire's pen clattered to the table. Tyler sank low. Carter continued, for 6 weeks, he's endured your racism plantation jabs, token help slurs, trash thrown at him, mockery in front of clients. He's got names, and I've got proof. He slammed a thick folder onto the table printouts, recordings, witness statements. Derek Simmons, Claire Evans, Tyler Brooks, Michelle Grant, Greg Larson, Paul Chen. You're the ringleaders. You've turned this place into a cesspit of bigotry. Derek lurched up, red-faced. It was a joke, Carter. You can't. Carter's glare silenced him. A joke? Calling my father a plantation relic to a client is a joke? You're done. He nodded to the guards. You're fired, all of you. Right now. Clear your desks. Claire leapt up, shrill. You can't. I've got seniority, contracts. Carter cut her off. At-will employment plus documented misconduct. I've got tapes, every word you said. Get out. But Carter wasn't finished. He turned to the room, his voice rising. You think this ends with a pink slip? It doesn't. I've got more. He flipped open the folder, pulling out photos Derek mocking James to the client, Claire's smirk caught on security cams, Tyler's paper toss frozen midair. These go to every competitor in LA. You're blacklisted. No tourism gig in this city will touch you. Derek sputtered. You can't do that. Carter stepped closer, towering. I can. You insulted my father. You insulted Horizon. You insulted clients who keep us alive. You're toxic. I'm making sure everyone knows. He wasn't done. And there's this. He held up a list email logs. You've been sloppy client complaints you buried, racist chats on company servers. That Japanese firm. They left because Claire told their rep to learn English or get lost. The Brazilian diplomat? Derek called him a jungle clown in a meeting. I've got it all. Claire blanched. That's private. Carter's smile was cold. Not on my network. You're not just fired, you're liable. Expect lawsuits from those clients, and I'll testify against you." The guards moved in. Derek kicked a chair, shouting, "5 years, and you trash me for him?" Carter advanced, voice low. "You trashed yourself. You mocked my father, my blood, and thought you'd skate. You're gone." Claire clutched her bag, tears streaming not remorse, but rage. Tyler slunk out, head down, muttering, "This is bullshit." Michelle and Greg shuffled after, Paul last, his face ashen. Within 30 minutes, their desks were stripped, their emails dead, their names erased. Carter faced the stunned staff. "This isn't Horizon anymore. My father risked his dignity to expose this rot, and I won't let it fester. You're here to work, to respect everyone. Client, colleague, janitor, or you're out. I've got eyes everywhere now, cameras, audits, zero tolerance. Cross that line, and you'll join them, blacklisted and broke." He paused, letting it sink in. "We're better than this. We'll prove it starting today." Later, in Carter's office, a plush sanctum with leather chairs and a wall of windows, James gazed at the city, dusk painting it gold. "Think they'll change, son?" Carter sank into his chair, tie off, exhausted but resolute. "Some will. The rest won't matter, they're gone. Horizon's clean now." James nodded, his eyes distant. He hadn't sought revenge justice, for his son, for the company, for every slight he'd swallowed over decades. The racists were crushed, their arrogance their undoing. Horizon would rise, purified. The lesson rang clear: judge a man by his skin or station, and you might lose everything. James Walker, the old black janitor, had turned the tide in 10 minutes, proving racism was a fire-able sin, especially in a company meant to span the globe. For the guilty, the punishment was swift, public, and permanent.